This episode is sponsored by SKS Luxury Appliances. If you've spent time around Signature Kitchen Suite, one thing designers notice right away is the technology. The interface feels familiar and intuitive because it's the same engineering that comes from LG, the company that produces the systems used in many of the luxury vehicles people drive today. Clients recognize it instantly and know how to navigate it, but SKS is also investing in designers through their Designer Rewards program and by sponsoring IDC. If you're specifying kitchens for serious cooks, give SKS a look. Learn more at sksappliances.com. SKS, built for people who truly love cooking. Hi, this is Laurie from Interior Design Community for To The Trade, and I have a special guest. You've met Shannon Ggem before. She's been on our podcast, but I have a secret reason why we have Shannon on today. We've been doing something behind your back that you don't know about, but we want to roll it out eventually to the entire community. And I'm really, really working hard behind the scenes to make that happen. But one of the things we've been talking about over the last year is how to make good content, how to make content that is actually actionable and is pulling the right client in. And, I feel like it's a big issue for years and years, Shannon. Since I first started in this industry, I noticed designers don't really know how to market fully. It's like they want to do the final photo, but you're only going to get so many of those, right? You're only going to get maybe at max, let's just say you have 20 good pictures a year. I think you're in good shape as an interior designer of a final install. What do you do with the rest of the days of the year? There's 365 days of the year. If you do you just do those 20 images on repeat, or do you give your potential clients more to talk about and more reasons to refer you and more reasons to establish yourself as an expert? And so we've dug in with Shannon being my guinea pig, thankfully, yay, Shannon, to revamp her Instagram. And day by day, we learned how to, make a video, edit the video, build a script, what you like about scripting, what you don't like about scripting, the whole process of making video content. And we wanted it to be specific for interior designers. So the things I was thinking about was, you guys are busy designers and you're not going to have a lot of time on your hands to do content. I think that a good goal for an interior designer is 5 hours a week marketing. So I really don't want you spending more time than that. And that should include your newsletter. That should include which I think should be monthly. That should include your, really looking at how the business process comes into market to your clients. Like if you're doing something specifically at an in-person event or you're doing something on your website that is marketing, or you're doing social media is marketing, or you're writing a press release about your business to go to a particular magazine, or you're submitting your work for an award. Those are all marketing efforts. So if you did 5 hours a week, I think you're in really good shape as part of your business process. And I think a lot of that should be free stuff that we have at our disposal that we don't really utilize. And so the idea was, how can we build some content parameters, buckets of content and that have a purpose, and then teach Shannon day by day how to do that. So Shannon, jump in. What did you think? When I first brought this to you, were you like, this is a lot, I don't know why?
I knew it was going to be a fire hose because you're so incredible at marketing. And I knew that it was going to be a total fire hose of information. But as you know, for 10 years, I've been at least 3 times a week with Instagram, trying. And it's like, my impression before this was it's nearly impossible to get followers. You are going to get 1 follower every 3 months. I just had no idea what I was doing. So this was a total retraining of my instincts, because I definitely had some opinions about how to do things, and they were not correct at all. They were not marketing. So we've talked about this before, and we've even talked about this before on To The Trade. One thing to kind of part with is, Budweiser is not actually served by a Clydesdale. So marketing and advertising are different than the actual nitty-gritty day-to-day steps of your process. So that's always a thing for me to learn. But it's funny, there were little resistances, and I I just can't wait to dig into it because little things came up. As much as I love to be on, in the assets bucket, I had that I love to be on camera. Like, I just think it's fun. I love it. And a lot of people don't love that. But something that I learned a long time ago also from you is that one reason why I think people really are worried about it is because they're worried about how they look.
100%.
And
100%.
something that, yeah. And you taught
Yeah.
me a long time ago that, you know what, you're walking around looking like that. So everyone already knows how you look. So whatever kind of artifice you're laying over it, for the camera, that's just kind of like fluffy extra. That's not the meat of it. The meat of it, everyone already knows. So what, you may as well just look like your own self because that's what you look like. So that I think is an
People
important
like it. I think in the day of AI right now, we're being inundated. Like I can see I can see AI, talking head videos coming into my feed on a regular basis, and they do look realistic now. They're getting better and better. Watch their mouths. Their mouths move really weird because they very enunciate the words. They're very weird, but they look a lot more realistic than they used to. And I think it's also even more important that people just show up as themselves, because I think people reject, like, visually. If I see a video and I feel like it's AI, I'm like, ugh,
Well,
yuck. I don't want to see it.
the filters is what I'm addicted to. I love the filters. They make you look
Yeah.
so glossy and young, and they lift my eyes and and I love it. But it is really, you said at the very beginning of this process, you were like, drop the filters. It makes people not stay and they feel like it's inauthenticity. And I immediately saw that in my numbers. Immediately. The algorithm doesn't like them, or people don't like them, or something doesn't like them, because the transformation was insane just on that piece.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is, like, think we're marketing. There's two things we think we're marketing to that I think are incorrect. Like, at first is, I think designers are often thinking about other designers and they're really afraid to be judged by another designer. And I just have to say, screw those designers that would judge you. Like, who gives a rat's what another designer thinks about you? Are they going to ever be your client? No. So if they're that kind of person where they're looking at you and, that's so funny, she's trying too hard or whatever, then we don't like them anyway. And we're not going to talk to those people, and we're not going to worry about what they think, because that says a whole lot more about them and how they think about their own marketing than it should say about you. I mean, you're not in business to please our peers. Now, does that mean we treat our peers with respect and we are a good steward and community member? Yeah, but it doesn't mean we have to adjust who we are and what our marketing is doing, because that's that worm. We're trying to get the client. We should not be caring about what our peers are thinking about us and if we're too much, because this isn't for you. Same thing with your friends and family who might be like, turned off by it, because it does happen where you might have someone say, is this too much? Is this too much? Are you doing a little too much here? Maybe you should back off on this. And as long as this is why I'm a numbers person, right? I tell everyone I'm a numbers person, but I think you've gotten to see you're a numbers person too through this process, because it's fun. Isn't it fun to see the numbers go up?
So
I mean,
so fun,
right? I mean, you can't not be a numbers person when it's working.
It's pretty amazing. And you said, so one thing that happened right out the gate was, I knew it was going to be a fire hose. I was delighted to be, if Laurie ever asks you to be a case study for something, say yes. I mean, it is unbelievable transformative experience every time that she helps. So the first, there were the filters, and then you said you're going to lose some followers. You're going to lose some followers because you're going to get really targeted with your feed, and that's not going to be interesting to some people who are following you for just a chat, like your neighbors or, just your family or whatever. You're going to lose some followers. And I did. And I lost them all at the beginning. So that was an interesting thing in the data, that as soon as the feed changed, it changed. And then I only lost 4 more followers over the whole rest of the thing.
Yeah. And we were looking at the numbers. So early on, and I want to say, because it's the beginning of it, we'll just say it, but we'll repeat this at the end. We'll talk a little bit more and dig into the numbers. But we want to say early on, We looked at what her initial views on. So what were your initial views on your videos? Like when we first started, before we came in, what do you think would be average for you?
Yeah, average was about 200 views.
Okay. And then what did you think your, let's just say over a course of a month or 6 months, let's just say 6 months, how many followers do you think you'd get in 6 months?
I would get 3.
Okay.
And that's not even an
So
exaggeration. That
half
was
of a
real.
follower a month, if we average it out
And I would
for
literally get them in person. I would go to a show and meet someone and say, let's follow each other. And not because, but not because I was like trying to make them a follower, but because I was like trying to stay in touch with them. So I could clock the followers that I was getting. And this was this way for like 4 years.
okay. So that was the average. And when we first started, I said you're going to get we'd like to shoot for by the end of the month. This sounds big to everyone, 100,000 views, and we want 500 new followers. And
It was like
what did you
laughable.
think when I said that?
I thought it was laughable. I still think it's like it still sounds outrageous. But I was like, okay, well, Laurie's an expert at marketing. She knows what she knows. I mean, I know your background, so I know that you can do things you say, but I was like, not with my feed. Definitely no.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, and it was a process because there is, in teaching you, it's what we first start with is scripting. That's the very first thing. Like, what is actually going to happen? Now, over time, I want to say, I can imagine a year from now, you're probably still going to do scripts as loose concepts, but you're probably going to yap it a little bit more, which is a style of video content that's a little bit more natural because you'll get used to it and you'll be able to bang these out fast. Because that's another goal for me is keeping track of time it takes you to do these videos because I know you're busy designers and you don't have a whole lot of time to throw at content. So, some days you're going to be really busy and I showed you ways you can make videos that are just literally take a minute or two and they're not that long. And then sometimes you can make a script and stick to the script and have a green screen behind you with images you're talking about. And there are reasons we're doing it. So we had 8 content buckets that I put out before, but they are just so that you can get really into, the business and know what we're talking about here is that there's reasons for everything that you're doing. So we don't want to do this like willy-nilly. We want to have a real reason why we're doing each piece of content. So the first one is localization. Your particular clients are in Malibu. So we wanted people to know why you were, that you're their local designer. You're in their area too. So we did a video that was talking about the Wave House for architecture. We did a video that was talking about fireworks and where you could go locally. And you did one that was a sale on tile at a local tile showroom. How did those work out as far as being localized? Did you feel like you were getting people that were looking at that were more local as well?
Very much so. That was a great, especially Wave House. That was really interesting. The tile sale was both timely and local. So that was great too. And also I love that brand. They are a maker, a local maker. So that felt really good too, especially because by that time we already had some traction. So the feed was doing well. So I got to kind of offer that to a brand that I love and admire for years, and I use in nearly every project, a very local maker. So that felt great. And the Wave House was interesting because people shared it a lot, I saw. So that was a really interesting stat to look at is when people shared something. Because the things that maybe I thought would go, because again, you're helping me retrain my instincts, didn't necessarily go. But the shares kind of implied to me like, oh, somebody walks by that house all the time or their friend does and they sent it to them because they're like, oh, we talked about that house. We've always wondered about that house, So that was a great one. I loved that. I thought it was super helpful.
And they
then
grow
the fireworks
too. Like
one,
you expect some you think are going to be, some get views immediately and then some kind of like linger and then the views are coming within the week and they're not. And even now I looked back on your views last night And, every day it's you're waking up with new views because even your older posts still are gaining. They're
It's
still like the
really
posts
true.
you
That
were
wave
thinking about.
house, it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. And so your local authority, we want neighborhood guides, local projects, showrooms and design resources, community events, local architecture, builders and tradespeople that you love, restaurants, hotels, businesses that are serving the same market you are. You want to make friends with them. And the way to do that online is to make a video about them, because who doesn't love a video made about them, talking about how great they are? Everybody. And local lifestyle. Like, you say to me as design community over and over and over again that referrals are your best source of new business, but this is how you stay top of mind in various ways. So your content can be something interesting that your local audience is sharing amongst themselves. Like, oh, Shannon just talked about the Wave House. I didn't know about that architect. That's really interesting. That's local humor and interest that someone would want to share with someone they know. So, and it makes you, to that person, she's one of ours. She's somebody that appreciates the things around us that we also appreciate. And
Yeah, that
people
we have
love
it in
that.
common. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we have it in
Yeah.
common, literally. The script thing is now the time to talk about the script thing, because I
Yeah.
resisted the script thing.
The script thing
I,
is hard.
I
Everybody
resisted it.
resists it.
They do?
Yeah, I feel like it is a resistant, because you feel, in some ways, I feel like I'm telling you two things that are competing against each other. I'm telling you, be authentic, and then I'm giving you a script, right? It's hard because it's like, how do I act authentically and then read something that's not my words?
Boy, did it perform better though. And when I compare it to other times that I talked into the camera, it is so much cleaner. I don't have the long pauses. I'm not as redundant. I'm pretty redundant. I'll say things 6 different ways. So that is fascinating that you can really carve that time out. You can speak to the attention span of the social media user faster because you're getting all the information out concisely. And it really did help a lot. The script helped a lot.
It just stays on the point. And so when you're recording, it is good to have the green screen on. And we use Edits, which is the same app that is made by Instagram. So Instagram kind of favors it in general. But on top of it, it's just got it's free. It's got built-in tools in it that are just really good. My favorite are the green screen option and the teleprompter. So the teleprompter does 2 things. You can put a script in there that you create with AI, with a hook, with like your talking points. You can have it interview you, and you can just use the voice to talk text and say, these are the things I think are really important about this, and this is the order I want to talk about it. Give me a 1-minute script about this topic, and it will pour out a script with a hook. And you can say, I don't like that hook. Let's change the hook. And it'll give you some options to say, I want to use this hook, remake the script. Okay. I like it. I don't like that call to action. I want to change, like, read it first. And then I would send it over to Shannon. She would plug that into the teleprompter. And as a result, it scrolls down as you're recording so you can see what you're saying. But it also forces you to look at the camera because it's at the top. So it's doing 2 things for you, because people want your eye contact. So it's making you keep your eye contact here instead of looking at yourself down here, which is important in video content. And then it's also allows you to record clip by clip. So I would always tell you, record 1 paragraph at a time. Don't go try to do the whole thing and get it perfect, because you're going to mumble a word, stumble over something, say the 1 word wrong, and then you have to re-record the whole thing. If you do 1 paragraph at a time, you're more likely to nail it. And then you can start to see that you're going to get better at that over time too. And then delete at the bottom before you go into editing, delete all of the ones as you go that you've messed up in your re-recording, so that
As you go.
So that when you throw it into editing, you're not like looking at each clip, which ones did I not like and I've messed up and now I have to delete those now. You're just trimming the best clips you already made. So that we're keeping this. The goal is to keep this to not take too much time for you to do. We want this to be something that your longer videos take about a half an hour to make. Like that, hey, I want this to be a really good video and I'm going to put a little bit more time into it. versus your short videos that could take maybe 5 minutes to make, right?
It is unbelievable how much you just need to follow what she says exactly how she says it, because I tried all the different ways. I tried all the, I was like, I reverted to old ways that I've been doing it with the cutout and the blah, blah. Don't do it. Just do exactly how Laurie says it. And it's a shock that something can take you 10 minutes and it actually doesn't feel, you're like, is this good enough? And then you kind of, that happened. Like it kind of bubbled up the like, I didn't work hard enough. But some of those are the ones that performed the absolute best, the absolute best. But if I had just done it the way that you taught me to do it every single day, instead of reverting to old ways or like thinking like, what if I try this? I would have saved myself a lot of time, because I ended up having to do it your way in the end anyway. So that's kind of a hilarious and sad truth. Just do the way she says it, because it is the quickest, most effective way. But it was a shock because since you freed me from the filters, I was like, do I have hair and makeup and blah? And I did not. So that was a really good lesson that you taught, because one of the videos that has the most traction, actually, it has the most traction times two, because it is the top 2 videos in my feed right now. I am wearing 0 makeup, and the top that I am wearing is pajamas.
I wanted to show you while you were doing that. I did some videos too that I intentionally did in places that were weird for me, because I was also, when I wanted to talk to our audience here about this, I wanted to have done some crazy things myself. And one video that took off for me was talking about, you're wrong about what an interior designer does. They do this instead. And I made that video while I was sitting on traffic going to Costco. You can see my seatbelt in it. And then I made a video yesterday for SKS, who's a kitchen brand that is a sponsor for IDC, but I just really like their product too, and I wanted to talk about it. And I think it's something that designers should know, that they like have come up with their product after some of the bigger brands, and so they kind of solve some of the problems that existed in the marketplace. I kind of wanted to talk about that. And that video I did in the doctor's office because my husband had his foot was sore. So we went to the emergency, not the urgent care, and I knew I was going to be sitting there for a minute. So I made a video while I was sitting in urgent care, and it took me like not even 10 minutes to make.
Were there people around you?
I would just do it when he went into, he got an x-ray on his foot. He just has like a calcium buildup, which is causing like a bone spur, but he had to get an x-ray. So I did it while he was going to get the x-ray, because I knew he'd be gone out of that doctor's office for a minute and I'd be sitting there doing nothing. So I made the video at that time, and that video has I posted it yesterday. It's gotten 6,000 views already. We're collaborating with SKS itself. I'm probably going to put it out as an ad because I think it could really help them. I know they've gotten, every time I do a video for someone, by the way, and this will happen to you over time too, all of you, I now can predict when I do a video about someone, they're going to get a minimum of 50 followers.
Oh my God.
Do a video about someone. And sometimes they get more than that. I've had brands that I tracked that got 250 views from a video that I did. So I know the range is between 50 to 250 on average, and that sometimes it's like 100. I just did a video with a designer, Rose Dostal. She has gotten over 100 new followers from that video because I asked her 5 favorite brands. And then I met with one of the brands, Plain and Fancy, and they got like 100 followers. So from that one video. And so this is how you build relationships. So if you want, let's just say you want the local spa to be giving you contact, or the realtor, or your contractor who you want to be really good friends with, or your tile installer who you want to be friends with, or your tile maker that you want to be friends with. You're doing those videos, Shannon, is getting them followers and business 100%. And that's how you build real relationships with someone. So that goes outside of the phone here. Like, we're in the phones all the time, but there are ways to take this to the next level where you are getting more referrals and you are building business relationships because you're doing this with intention.
It makes me happy because I feel like makers, and especially the makers in our industry, they deserve a little bit of fame, like our clients
Sure.
don't know the names of the top makers of the things. So I love the video content we do when we name things because our clients don't know those names. And so when I say, oh, this table is, and then I say who, and I'm like, my clients are like,
Who? Yeah.
who's
But
that?
that's our fault. We've been hiding
It's our
these
fault.
people behind the scenes from us and just showing our pretty picture with our work. And as a result, we haven't made them status symbols that they should be because they're handcrafted goods, like with real, like really amazing craftsmen that are generations of craftsmen behind them. And we could be talking about that, making it so that when you got your Curry and Company light fixture, people are like, "Oh my gosh, is that
Art. Yeah.
Korean company? Holy crap." That it's
Yeah.
like if you see somebody with a Mercedes or you see somebody with, big old fat diamond that you think, came from a luxury jeweler. You want to have, these handcrafted goods that are made in heirloom quality to be something that is desirable to others. And not just that your design looks good, but these are status symbol items that are in their house that are meant to last generations and be something that they can down because then they're valuable to the entire process and chain too. Like if that client knows how special that is and that it is so that's something that is made just for them, then they value it more. It stays in their home more. Maybe their daughter now wants it to go to her house when she moves out. And maybe this becomes a generational piece because the family put importance on it. The family knew that
Yeah.
it was, so it's not just being disposable anymore because somebody knows, hey, this isn't just a light fixture. This is a Korean company light fixture. This is something that you should keep. It's gorgeous and it's handmade. So those are things that I think about, and we can change the perception. We always say the other thing that we always say is that no one knows what an interior designer does.
I
I,
know. I
I
love that. I mean, I love this effort for that because just reaching more people. I mean, I talked about drawings the other day, and that's a post that's growing. It's kind of a dense topic, but nobody understands that. No one understands that until they're in a build situation. And here we had the fires. So we have significant amount of rebuilds, and that's been going on since 2016 with the Thomas fire. So, or maybe that was 2017, but it was so long that I've been working on beautiful, high quality rebuilds, but they're not choosing those clients didn't get to choose. They didn't get to say, I want the creative endeavor of rebuilding a home. They have to rebuild a home.
right.
So for them, it's so wonderful if they know in advance they're going to be layers of drawings, and it's going to be drawings and drawings and drawings and drawings. And I'm going to be paying this person for drawings and this person for drawings and this person for drawings and this person for drawings, so that they go into it knowing that and they don't feel harmed or ripped off or, irritated as they would if they didn't know. So I think that that's an important message, but gosh, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get that out in 3 minutes and if anybody was going to care. But now that I see that people do care, it's
They
so
do.
heartening. It's so
Yeah.
heartening. They want to know our brands. They want to know our process. They want to know. And so it's not boring to them. It's interesting to people because people love beauty and they love their homes and they love caring and looking after their guests and their family with a welcoming, gracious place that they can be serene or have energy or have joy, all the things a home is. And we provide that. So that is a universal. So I love it that maybe this effort can help build up. I'm like so excited. I'm like hitting them, but maybe it can help build an army of us explaining what does an interior design do, what is an interior designer? What do we do? What service do we provide? Why are we integral to the build process? Why are we part of that team? We have to be part of that team at a certain level of build. And, what are we using and why does it matter? Everyone knows now, like, oh, I have to have copper pipes. Like they know that, but I'm sure people walked around for a long time not knowing about copper pipes. And then suddenly they all know. So let's make that for interior design.
Yeah. And I really do believe it. I mean, I can think about if a brand, let's just think of the brands that we did for that video that went more viral. I think it had 39,000 views, your video on fabrics. let's just say there's 5 fabric makers that, a portion of those, if we had 100 interior designers making that same video, we have the script, we have the images, we did it together. Imagine if we had 100 designers saying that same script, and each of them got around even a portion of the views that if we got 100 designers, I think I did the math last night too, and 100 designers doing that video, and they only got a third of the views you got, they would be still getting, those brands would be getting over like 1.2 million views on their post. 1.2 million, that's 1.2 million people that have seen it that would never have seen it before, like would never have heard of those brands before. And so we have a lot of power within we have an industry.
And it's free.
And it's free. It's free. I mean, it can take you literally 10 minutes to make a video like that could change a business's or a business owner's life. Like literally
so that got 30
business owner's life. That's
a way to think of it. So we got 38K
there are all these
for that.
workers. If you go to these if you go to these factories,
I've been on
a million factory tours. So, and I know you have too, Shannon, but you go on these factory tours and you see the people that are working in that factory. They need us. They need us. The showrooms in this industry are shutting down. They're there are some really great, really, really strong, financially strong showrooms. But by and large, there is a depletion of showrooms in this country because of how expensive rent is and how big the space you need to show furniture. And so as a result, showrooms are shutting down. People are buying things online. People are really, really, really confused, I think, now about what quality they're going to get when they buy something online. I think we all have done that and bought the dupes and been burned by fast furniture. So I think we've got a market of people desperate for real information. Like, what can I buy that is not going to fall apart, that isn't just going to look pretty online, and then it literally is garbage in 6 months. I don't want that, right? But I don't know the difference. And it's actually not, it's really, I feel for those consumers because it's really hard to tell. There are brands that are very expensive that I don't think are made. They are certainly not made like our brands make their products. So I feel for a consumer. It's really a confusing time because they can't go into the showrooms that used to exist anymore, and they can't buy online without really like having any idea of what the quality will look like, what's inside, what's lifted under the hood. If you ripped off the upholstery, what's inside that sofa? And so I feel like designers are primed right now to become real authorities on what is good. And I think it could be what we do, what is good, why you need us earlier, why we're an integral part of the process, why no one cares more about the outcome of the project than an interior designer. I think I can say that to contractors and they agree with that statement because you do all care more. That initial design is your art. So you are emotionally connected to that art and you want it to take place. You want that client to have the best version of that. So you work really, really hard to deliver excellence on a regular basis. All designers, I know that across the board, that's what's going on when an interior designer, and that doesn't mean you're going to get everything right. There's literally 20 million decisions that are being made, but it does mean you're doing every single thing you can to make sure that that client is getting the best use of their budget, the best use of the best quality materials that they can possibly afford, the best use of the space that they possibly can. You're working all to make that happen. And so I think we could be talking about that. And while we're doing it, bolstering our own industry in a real and significant way so that people, the consumers, know where to go, because we are powerful. We have 1 million designers worldwide. We have 100,000 interior designers here in the United States. Imagine our power if we were all talking about what it is we do and why we do it and what is good and why you want to invest in these pieces. And even if that person listening is going to DIY that experience, maybe they can't afford ever in their lifetime a Baker, sofa, but they found one on Facebook Marketplace for $2,000, and then they found some fabric that we've suggested from Pierre Frey on eBay, and they made it happen for themselves. They've got a $20,000 sofa. I mean, that's going to happen also from what we do, and we're not going to see those clients, but we're going to be giving people good things that are going into their house that they're going to be really proud of because we have this knowledge that they don't have. Right?
We're part of the help. Then we're helping, that
And we're helping the
textile.
earth. We're helping the world.
You can't have the 7-year sofa is, you can't have it. First of all these lessons are so hard won by interior designers because you know what we're not going to sell? We're not going to sell something that's going to break and you're going to call us in 4 years and it's going to erode your trust in us and our firm. It's not going to, that's not what we're after. We want to sell things that we never hear about it again. You loved it. We took pictures of it. You're so happy. Next time you call us, it's because you're happy and you referred us or you want to do something new because you're sick of it or whatever. But these are very hard won lessons. So we can speak with massive authority about it. But that textile post, I wanted to say, I looked down to see, we posted it twice with a different title. And so one time it got 38.9K is what it's at now. And then the other time it got 19.8 thousand views just because of a different title.
Yeah.
Now that was some wild.
That you can do that with trial reels, that you can take a video that's performing well, and we can just beat the hell out of it by changing the title 25 times if you wanted to. And, I'm going to give you—
That was a big lesson.
When you do this course with me, which will be free for you, I'm going to give you lots of scripts and lots of images and lots of information. I'm going to hold your hand through the process because it is a learning experience, but I promise you will see those results. You will see results coming pretty quickly. And you're right. I mean, there is going to be built in some resistance, and there is going to be, people who don't want to say the words. And I get it. I want it to feel authentic to you too. If there's a word you don't like, I don't care if you switch it. I'm not attached to these scripts.
I take the scripts, I put them in notes, I edit them to sound like me. And then I do, it's not usually much. It's usually like a line or two, or like once there was a brand I literally don't know. Like I know them, but I've never sat in it. I've never, so I was like, I'll just use a brand I do know. So that was not a problem. So I swapped it out, but I do it now in the notes app so that I can copy paste it into that teleprompter, because trying to do it in real life did not work at all.
No, the teleprompter is not a great editor. So you really want to be ready with a good script before you put it in. That one
it's
that
very
you feel
worth
good.
the time investment.
Yeah.
It's a much shorter time investment to do it that way, to grab it, put it in notes, edit it, put it in teleprompter. And then same with the images. Like when I tried to build a few posts myself, sometimes, with varying levels of success. Obviously, they did not perform as well as the professional marketers' posts.
Okay. But I wanted you to try things. I wanted you to be inspired to do your own thing too. I think that's part of the journey, and it's exciting part of the journey, because you don't know. Maybe one of those posts would have done really, really well. I can't say. I mean, once you're starting to get a feel for it, you're able to go, okay, I want some creative license. And that's part of it too. I want you to have that freedom.
Well, I will say I made the post about the tile.
Yes.
I made that one. So it took a lot longer. I didn't do it the right way, but now I'll do it differently. I think also curating your photos before that you're going to use in the post, before you're in the tool trying to do it. Don't try to do that. Don't have 50 photos and you're going to pick them in the moment. Don't have your 8 photos and know what they are, and do it in chunks like she says. I mean, it's so important. And like we didn't just meet the goals. We blew them out of the water. Like I have 990 followers, new followers from this
990.
990.
And our month is over on Saturday too. So we still have a few more days. We have tomorrow.
I thought 500 was like laughable. Like I literally was getting a follower every 3 months. I told you that I had to go and get people myself, like in person, like holding our phones. So it is unbelievable. And the hacks, like there are just things that you can't know until you know them. Like I don't think maybe everyone does, but I didn't know that trial reels was I didn't know what it was for or why. And now I see like, oh my gosh, that post is doing very well, 19.8, and it didn't even go to my followers. So, and it got me a lot of new followers because it went to other people that they thought might be interested in the content. And boy, did that help, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Boy,
And
did that help.
when you can find a post that is resonating, getting more eyeballs on it, and Instagram is going to give it, you have to imagine you go on Instagram, you're not on it all day. You're on it, then you get off. I mean, I'm not on it right now. You're not on it right now. My phone's sitting here. So there's a bunch of people who are posting in this hour that we've been talking that we're never going to see that content. That's gone. I mean, it's flown past. Maybe we'll open our phone because we follow that person very diligently and we'll see it. But for the most part, if I don't know you and I don't follow you, and I'm like unlikely to see it ever. So if you hit your trial reels, which intentionally goes out to people you don't know and don't follow you, you could do the same post 25 times in one day with different titles, and it's going all to different people. You're not seeing, the same people aren't seeing it.
It's
Which I also
unbelievable.
showed
I
you.
mean, yeah, you showed me that. No one else knows that. I mean, you really know a lot of things. So that was incredible. I shouldn't have said that I did the Arto post myself. I did it, but you helped me with make it a script and a hook. And the hook is the other thing, is that like I was not using a hook, and I was really, my posts were tanking. Like now that I compare them, I'm like, oh my God, I was getting 200 views. So if I got 200 views, I was like, well, that is 200 people who looked at, that's pretty good. And then I'd go to the time that they looked and it would be like, 6 seconds. So I wasn't really getting, but this is like, now it's more like 13 seconds, which still sounds like maybe not a ton of seconds,
Well, it's
but
an
some of them
average
get
because some people
long.
just scroll and then some people
Yeah.
watch the whole thing. Absolutely. I watch your whole videos when I do them, but as anybody, people and averages will shoot down but they used to show, and I don't know if I can still dig it out, but they used to show the total watch time. That was insane. Sometimes I would see things and that we posted in the past, and I'm like, this has been viewed like 20, if you looked at total time that some people have watched it, it would be like 200 days. I have posts that are 200 days of total view time. Like if somebody
Like it
sat and
circles
watched
the earth
it
twice or
total view
whatever.
time, like I'm like 200 days. Like that's of this like 5-second video. That's
That's
insane. That's
wild.
how many people are viewing it, and you add it up and you can show the total view time. It's pretty crazy, but
No, my average watch times are way, way, way up, like way up.
yeah.
It's really something else because it's becoming more interesting to people because because I learned this month and I'm going to keep learning what is of interest to people. And part of that was that thing we're talking about interior design is interesting. Knowing that your neighbors make a thing, we've talked about this a lot, but I think that it's an empathetic thing to help your clients and the world know that these things are everything around you. Somebody put thought and care into, or for the most part, right? Maybe not like your fast fashion, whatever, but most things, somebody cared about it. Somebody designed it. There was R&D. They really thought about the color. They hoped that it would do well at market. They just they really wanted to send this thing out in the world. And it is a little bit of an antidote to loneliness or fear or, I had a back injury that required me to have surgery after years of trying not to have surgery. And one of the things that lessened my fear was sitting in this very special chair that was for people who had a back injury like mine to get an MRI. And they couldn't have me in that one position because that was bad for the injury that I had. And I thought, oh my God, hundreds of people have been involved in the manufacture of this chair. Like someone thought of the problem. Someone designed how it's going to support the spine during this. Someone realized how long it was going to be and that it should have speakers for entertainment and the upholstery should be this and it should be white. And I felt so supported and I felt less fear because I was like, oh, I'm not the first person to have this problem. There are whole entire systems, that led to this chair and this machine and this doctor and this. I mean, it really can help be an antidote to the kind of I am only one little self floating around in this world feeling when you look around and you go, but someone made my refrigerator. I mean, someone made your refrigerator. There's like someone right now losing sleep over a feature on a new refrigerator that we haven't seen yet. Like they're so excited and they're so worried and they want it to go well and
There
they're
are
waiting for the
jobs,
chip to
there are
come.
real jobs on the line with
Yes.
that too. And, we have a significant amount of power in our industry to, if we're talking about these things, imagine what in I just think about like High Point Market or Vegas Market, which is going to be going on really, really soon. And the jobs that are at stake for all of the brands that pay, millions of dollars to exhibit at a trade event.
So
And
much
they're
money.
hoping that we all buy, and markets might be down or markets might be up or things might be happening. But we have a lot of power to make the things that we think are good and make the companies that we think are good powerful. We can talk about those products and make them desirable, and we can get more clients for ourselves that way. Interior designers will gain market share for this with this, but also our brands will get more business. Our brands that we love and those little factories with all the workers that are working there, they'll be able to, pay for braces for their kids and, send their kid to camp over the summer and, maybe will pay for college. Those are things that are really important to our community. And so I think it's just a really remarkable thing to recognize how much power this has. Like we're just saying views and likes and whatnot, but there are real outcomes that happen from this. So we're getting close to the end. So I want to talk about what were your total views last month? We wanted 100,000. What did we hit?
We got 158,000.8. So
Woo! Yeah. And you said, how many
unbelievable.
followers did you get in a month? You said
I got 990 followers.
wow. So by tomorrow, my guess is you're going to be at 1,000, which is double what we said that we would hit. That gives me chills.
Me too. Me too.
I like to underestimate. When I say I'm going to do something, I want to blow that a little bit out of the water, but I wasn't expecting double. I was expecting like, we're going to hit that number for sure. I want that to be a reasonable goal. And so this number is even much better, much juicier. And I can't wait to write a report on all of this as a case study to show people what can be possible. And you were perfect to do it. And then we also talked about structure of your Instagram and how your first one can be like about you. And the second one can be about your process or your team or, and the third can be about your portfolio. And you can make your Instagram feel like a website for someone who's coming in and they know like where you're located. And I know designers are resistant to that because they want the clients that are further away too. Like I might get a job in London. I don't want to say that I'm in, Manchester, New Hampshire. Well, you are in Manchester, New Hampshire, and 90% of your work is probably going to be in your local area, probably because you want it to be too. You don't want to be traveling every 5 minutes and be away from your family. And so saying where you are, but also that you take projects that are further away, leave that to your website. But on your Instagram, you're like, we are in, for me, I'd probably say the greater Boston area. I would probably in Manchester say I'm in the greater Boston area so that I could be part of Boston. But I would probably also say Manchester, New Hampshire, servicing
I
the
might
greater
say
Boston
Los
area.
Angeles, in the end.
Yeah.
Malibu's a small town. There's only
Yeah.
10,000, there's
Yeah.
10,000 people in Malibu. It's not a lot of
Yeah.
people. So it's a big, long city, but it's not a huge amount of people. But it's got a name that's recognizable enough that people kind of know where that means. And LA is very big. So I could, it's confusing sort of to say LA, but we are in LA County.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Malibu seems to be
Making
working.
it
It's up
easier
here.
for people to know where you are. If I look at a bio and I don't see where you are, or how to get a hold of you, or if the first website you have is not your own website, it should be going to yours if you have one. These are little things that we forget in marketing that we are supposed to be that person. We may have to make it, this is like they're coming to your front door. you want to make it easy for them to come in, and you want the curb appeal to be nice, and you want them to understand what they're there for. Have you ever been to like a thrift store or an antique store and it's like a house and you're like, which door should I go into? And is this a store? Is
So
this
many
open?
stores.
I don't
Literally, I've
know.
gone.
People don't want to be
Yeah,
confused. They want to
no.
know exactly that this is a location that they should be in and that it's okay to come in and it's okay to talk and it's okay to be a part of it. And that's a little bit what we're doing is we're cleaning out the store, we're renovating the store, and we're trying to make it so that people feel welcome and they know why they're there and they know what they're going to
What
get
to
from
do.
it, you know,
What to do when they get there.
what to do
Yeah.
when they get there. And, I know people are enjoying it. You've said that you've gotten some comments in the behind the scenes from people. What's the feedback been? Because
So
I'm
many
sure
great
people thought
things
it
have
was
happened.
different.
Yeah. So I got some comments from, people who are like, I'm not really that into the design. So that was my mom. But that's okay. Because she's still going to follow me anyway. But most of the stuff has been really, really great. It's like reconnecting with people that I've met over the years that are in design, reconnecting with brands, reconnecting with others associated with the industry who have brand work, which is something that I do and have done for a long time. But it reminded them, it's that top of mind thing where they were like, oh yeah, she is a good representative for this. And, she uses this product and maybe she'll talk about it. And maybe there's a way to work together here. And that's very satisfying and gratifying. And then I had a great experience with that tile company because they reposted, we collaborated. I showed it to them in advance. I asked them what they thought. They collaborated and that was so fun. Textile brands, despite its incredible performance, none of them have shared it. So not even in stories, which is, I find interesting, but it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag and it's mostly insanely positive. And it's been really wonderful to connect with people on there and also hear other people's expertise. Like other people are saying other fabric brands, some of which I don't use. I'm in a very California market. My look is pretty California. I don't do a lot of the trims and tapes and, I'm not always able to use the brocades and the jacquards and all the more heavier fabrics in this very kind of Southern California world. So that has been really fun to see people's list and go, woo, because I love all that stuff too. I mean, I work in New England sometimes and I love to see. So I think I'm going to do another post that explains the different, a set of 5 that I got from other designers. And then I'll name those 5. And then
Right.
that
You're
way,
sharing you're collaborating with another designer,
yeah.
you're talking about different brands, and it lifts us all up. It's such a fun thing. And it's like one idea, that's the other thing that we talked about too in this process is like you put it out there, you can repost it, you can unpin things, you can reorganize your feed all the time. So putting out a piece of content and it doesn't go, don't get so emotionally like attached to it. Who cares? Maybe the title needs to be different. There's different versions of hooks. So you have the hook that you say, the first thing you say. You have the title, which is a visual, it's a text hook. You have yourself like coming in or clapping or making a noise. I mean, those are audio hooks. So we are, I have one that I knocked on the screen, that's how it started. And I think those are all the things that we have to learn in the process that is going to get the attention of that person in that first 2 seconds that
I
gets
love when you
them to
knock on
watch
the
the video.
screen. I
I
love
know.
it. You had me do my most emotional resistance was emotional resistance is funny because it'll hide and you'll think that it's other things. So I was telling myself it was like an administrative problem that I had with my file keeping. That's file management does become a part of this and is a real thing that needs setup. But luckily you told me how to set it up. But you encouraged me to explain my first career, which was as an actress and specifically as a scream queen.
I know.
So I've
Love it.
never done that.
I
And
know. And it's such a fun
you
story. I loved the story. So I was like, everybody would want this story. It's so cool.
It was so fun in the end, and I was so emotionally resistant. It took me, I think we thought it was going to go out that day, and then I just blew it, and I just couldn't. And I stayed up until 1 a.m. curating the pictures, and I was really like spinning like making so much out of it. And you had a lot of soothing things to say about like, it's okay. We'll just unpin it and it'll be gone forever. But it's funny how those little emotional resistances that you have or you carry or like judgments about yourself or whatever can manifest as these strange little administrative problems that you give yourself for an Instagram post. So that's something that I think that anyone who engages in this process should be aware, so that when you face those, you just go, that's fine that you feel that way, brain. I'm just going to move right past you, though. Thanks for getting out of the way. Just like a plane sees the clouds and flies right through them. Like that can be you. You can just go right through them. So I made the post and it was wildly fun. It was incredibly fun. People were so supportive and so adorable. And kind of like there was a feeling of like, I knew something was different about, like, I knew you were like this. Like, I knew something about you. This clears up something for me. So that's
Yeah.
what I love about it.
Yeah, because you do want when someone comes in, you want just like you would for their website, you have your About Me section, you have your Meet Our Team, you might have, this is how we work and this is our process and this is my portfolio. You can do that with your Instagram by pinning those posts to the top. And, you can have your homepage be your bio, like this is where I am and this is my phone number and this is my email and this is where you want to get in touch with me. So that when people look, they get that they're talking to a professional interior designer. They know what they're going to get from you. I go to a lot of designers' pages and, I just see over the year, I've been, steadily trying to grow my audience, which is interior designers, which I find is a lot harder. I'm always like, what I'm doing is harder than what you're doing because there's only 100,000 designers in the country. There's only 1 million designers in the world. I don't want everybody. I want a specific person, an interior designer to follow me. So you have the world because they all love design. Everybody loves their home and their design. I mean, that's such a broad, wonderful topic to be gifted with, to talk about. And you all love it. This is what you do. You eat, breathe, sleep, like looking at textiles, or you have never been to an Airbnb where you haven't like looked at every single thing about what they did right and wrong, or hotel or restaurant. You just do it I've been with all of you. I know. I go to restaurants with you. I have
We
been to
move the
Airbnbs with
furniture.
you look at the furniture. You pull things up.
Move it.
Move it. You are like, oh, they hung that upside down. They didn't hang that. Oh, they use
The
those.
crown. That's common. People hang
Yeah,
the crown molding upside down.
yeah. I mean,
No, no,
often
no,
you
not.
just see the errors, you see the mistakes, you see the good things, the smart things that they did. You're paying attention at a different level, and so people love that. Like I was with a designer who Sharon Sherman came to Interior Design Society had their summer soiree, and so she came from New Jersey to their summer soiree in Portsmouth. And we stayed in an old hotel, which is the Wentworth by the Sea thing in Portsmouth. And then we went to the Cliff House in York, Maine. And she got to see the Cliff House. And we were walking, and the Cliff House has this beautiful 2-story view of a cliff that goes into the ocean. It's just like breathtaking. And they've re-renovated it completely. And they had taken the rug, the carpet, that stair runner, and it's striped. So it goes down a set of stairs and then it veers off and goes down 2 other sets of stairs to go into this big room that you can have cocktails and overlook the sea, and it's beautiful. But it's striped. So how they handled it was they made them horizontal and vertical on that first set, and then they could get the bottom go down, and it was all naturally, just the stripes went the right way. So Sharon noticed that immediately. Like that's just the stuff that you guys all notice.
Yeah.
That I have been on those stairs 1,000 times and never have paid attention to it. It's just, carpet runner on stairs for me. But for Sharon, that's what that is. And it's like those little details that you're going to pick up and utilize in different projects, or you just notice someone else's work and go, oh, they did something special here. And now that she pointed out, I could see that they did something special there. And now I'm sure every time I walk on those stairs, I'm going to be like, oh, that designer was thinking that was really clever of them because they got pointed out to me.
Yeah.
That detail. So it's those things that I think are so amazing and such a great way for all of you to be able to share what you think, what you do. And nobody knows your inside world that I know you guys because I spend so much time with you, all of you, coming to trade events and talking to you online and seeing you and sometimes having you over, going to dinners. But people, and I'm a huge, obviously, fan of what designers think and what their thought process is. And I'm committed to make this industry better. But I think average everyday person has no clue what it is you do, but it's our fault. We have to do better at sharing what it is we do and why we do it. Because I think when you dig under the surface, what they're going to see is so much more beautiful than what they think. They think of it as like you guys are, I don't know, just this impression that you're money hungry and trying to upsell them and things, and there's a lot of fear around someone. You've felt it when someone's
The
starting.
retailers did that. There is a major retailer who did that on purpose, who said, "Oh, don't use an independent designer. They're gonna overcharge you, and I'll sell you their trade discount or whatever." So that was a literal marketing campaign that has been going on. So a lot of people accidentally soaked in that campaign and thought, oh, designers bad, designers money takers, which is such a funny
thing. And at the
thing.
same time, we had HGTV, which I think has done good things and bad things for the design world. But remember back in the day where they had those renovations for like $1,000 and people would
Design on a
their
dime.
neighbors design on the dime kind of stuff. And, and people were really would hear the horror stories after. Well, of course you didn't get a beautiful room for $1,000 makeover in a week. Like that was never, you have neighbors painting your house. It might look good on TV, but that's not what's going to look good. I mean, and that's not what design really is. And so there's all this like TV magic, and we contribute to it because we don't show anything except that. We don't show anything except the end result. Or we have those cute little photos and it bothers Sharon. I was like, I get why they do it. I'm not making fun of a designer who does it, but we do those cute little videos now where it's, the before and then we go, and then it's the after. And
they're so satisfying.
I mean, who doesn't love that?
I love it. I wish I could get myself together to remember to do it.
Yeah.
I never remember. Oh my God. I just love those.
Who doesn't love them? They're fun to look at.
It's so true.
But at the same time,
it's unrealistic. My husband is a carpenter by trade before he became a project manager, and he hates one horrible habit I have, and I really don't do it on site, but I do it at our home. And I'm like, so can you just that over there, And he's like, no, there's no such thing as. He's like, I have to go and get the pieces and get the tools and get them all working, and then I can take 5 hours and do that. There's no.
Yeah.
So funny. It's so true. It's so true. We want to, it's a romantic thing. And one of the
that bewitched thing where you could just wiggle your nose and
a
everything
wonderful
is better.
Thing that you put out is you put out a list on IDC of fears and frustrations of clients. And it's a transformative list. It's again, that empathy thing, like everyone's profession in the world comes down to empathy. And that's a big one for designers, because one thing that people wish is that they could shortcut to that. So, and there is a fear of how long it's going to take and how disruptive it's going to be. And so it does that.
I think it gives them this impression that because we immediately have to burst that bubble, that we're scamming them in some way. We're just saying, I'm sorry, we're the don't shoot the messenger, the bearer of bad news, that that projects don't take a month to do.
That phrase should be tattooed on my forehead. Don't shoot the messenger, because seriously, no one does. Everyone's very nice to me, but I really do have to say a lot of bummer things about timelines and budget.
I have had it too. I remember there was a client that eventually became your client because I referred someone to you at one point. But I remember being on the phone with them for an hour. And this was, I think, in November. And this person said, I want my house done by Christmas. And I was like, well, that's not going to that's not going to happen. Or maybe it was October, 2 months. But I was just like, that's just an impossible plan. It will never be 2 months before it's
It
done.
didn't align with their goals. Like
Not really, no. They
that's the
wanted
thing is
it,
that maybe like
yeah.
if you're going to stage and that's what you want to do. But it's a funny thing that I think it's true, probably what Sharon's saying, that we should have some rigor around if we're going to do that fun thing, that we also make sure that we balance that with and this is how we got there. It was 16 months
And
and
it
we were
costs
there
us with
before
money. And I
framing.
think I know it. I'm going to say something that I think is really, really scary to all of you. And I haven't even said it to Shannon, but eventually we should be talking about not necessarily like exact costs, because I know it's custom, but cost ranges. I think we could say, if someone does a kitchen with Shannon Ggem, what does that cost typically from this to this? That's truth. I mean, there
Yeah.
might be outlying situations where, you might have a friend and you might be just giving them, hey, these are the products you can get them on Facebook Marketplace, and you're going to put this together yourself because you did that as a friend for somebody. But that's not the average. Your average is this. This is what it costs if you want me to do my magic for you. Like, I don't do that for anybody except my mom. You know what I mean? Like, so those kinds of things where we just have to do a better job, I think, ripping the Band-Aid off and saying what it is. Like, this is what it costs and this is what good things are, because then it gives people an idea of what they need to save for. If you said to somebody, a really great mattress is $10,000. That's scary. Like, it's scary to a lot of people that's the truth. But you sleep on a mattress a third of your life. Like, and it's a really, you want it to be something that has chemicals in it that's causing you cancer because you're spending a lot of time on it. Do you want it to have something that is made with natural materials? Do you want it to be something that's comfortable or not going to cause back pain for you, or hip pain, or whatever? I'm in my 50s now, so I'm on the other side. Like, it's like, I care about how I wake up in the morning a lot more than I did when I was 22, So it's those investment things that I would like to know. And then, maybe it's going to take me a while to get there, to get the thing. Or maybe I'm going to have to buy it, as on a deep discount because they've got a factory closeout or something, as a person. But,
An interesting
you know,
point.
I do
Yeah.
need to know what is good. I do need to know
Yeah.
what I should be shooting for. And I think everybody wants that. I think everybody wants to make good decisions that are healthy decisions for them and their family. They just don't know where and what is the good decision, what is the right thing. And I think you all are carrying that around up here.
Yeah. It's
And it
true.
just doesn't go out there that often. And this was our fun experiment to take what's in Shannon's head and just put it out there. And I do want to talk really quick before we close out on outcomes. Now, you did have some interesting outcomes, and some of them were a little offline and online mix, but you did have someone talk to you about a licensing deal. You did have a good referral, and you did have a brand reach out about a paid collaborative relationship. 2 brands. So in 1 month.
In 1 month. That
In one,
was pretty remarkable.
yeah,
And one of them I happen to really need. So I'm doing my own bathroom. And so that's just wonderful. And it's such a perfect thing because I can photograph it. It's easy to do any brand work, but it's easier when it's my own house. That's so easy.
right.
So that's very fun. And I just wasn't able to I think the big thing for me was the time lesson that one day you had me on a timer. You checked in with me at the beginning and you said, I'm going to check again at the end because I know you're going to spend too long. And I was spending too long, and spending too long is not viable approach. And that's something that you reiterated several times throughout the process. And that's we have to do it in our trade. That is true. Like, we have to make things very, very, very nice. And I hesitate to say the word perfect because, houses are handmade. The things in them are often handmade. So perfection is a scale, right? But definitely I was overdoing it on the quick social media posts that might, get 250 hours of watch time or whatever. I was overdoing it. It's not
Yeah,
necessary.
not
So that
necessary.
a huge lesson because just getting the thoughts out there is what is actually important.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
really cool.
And it has to be manageable or you're never going to do it. It's not going to be sustainable for you because there are days where you really don't have a whole lot of time to do it. So we even gave you a list of B-roll that on days like that could just be you walking, but you're like walking to my next appointment on your text thing that you could have even your assistant put up for you when you're just like, I am not going to do a video today or tomorrow because I'm doing this, or I'm away on vacation and I don't want to, but the marketing needs to keep happening, or I'm in the weeds at the end of the project and I just don't have the mental energy to think about scripts. You know those things and you anticipate those moments coming because you can look at your calendar and you can understand where that's going and you can schedule some of this stuff ahead of time. Also reutilizing the video talk content. I showed you here, you have a good video. It did really well. You can repost this and you're getting all new eyeballs on it. Different, people are seeing it. And so as you collect this group of good content pieces, when you are stressed out, when you are busy, you can fall back on content that already is made. You can repost some of this stuff that you've already made. And after you've done a year of this content, you're gonna have a lot of buckets to put, 8 different buckets that you can put in of types of content. And you could take each one and, that's more than enough for the whole week for 7 days a week. But just say you want to only post 4 times a week. You can do 4 in one week, 4 on the other, 4, so that you're just hitting those different notes. Some are for pulling in followers, and some are for your local community, and some are to establish you're a product expert, and some are to show that you're a good collaborator with your fellow humans and trades and businesses that are servicing the same world that you are. It's everything has a reason and an intention. And you're just like striking those like you are playing a guitar, and you're pulling those strings and pulling those strings and pulling those strings so that you can create this melody that you're making with what your content. And that's essentially what we're trying to do here in a good way. And so that it feels good for your collaborators too. And you can take little bits of content. Like you did a tour the other day with a realtor, and it was a tour of houses, and you could turn that into content about what's in fashion or trending right now and what's out for longevity and future proofing. You could do a content about, I know some of the best real estate agents that are going to make your process easier. Here's my real estate agent that I think is the best. That's, a flirty relationship, not flirty in the bad, like a romantic thing, but, flirting with other businesses and making, collaborative relationships by boosting another business. You could be talking about the real estate market in your area and why you should hire a designer first, and that you should hire a designer even before you buy the property, because they can give you an idea of what you're going to do before the investment and you pick the house that you can't do the thing you actually wanted to do with it. There's lots of ways you could use that same video footage. Really, literally, you take the same video footage, you cut it, and you just say different things on it that have totally different meanings and are totally doing different things in your content buckets. So we love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you,
And
Laurie. This
we're
was
going to be opening this up for our general audience, and hopefully all of you will come along for the ride and learn what Shannon's learned, and hopefully are transforming your own content. And we're going to be doing some big things. My reason for doing this is I think it will bolster our brands. I think it will bolster our business. And I think if we had enough of you doing it within a year, we would have people know what interior designers do and all of the brands they represent. And that's what we'd love to see happen.
Incredible. Get ready for the best kind of fire hose, you guys.
Yay!
It's such a great, fun process.
Wonderful. This episode is brought to you by Curry & Company. Designers, you know the moment. You walk into the room and the lighting stops you in your tracks. Chances are it might be Curry. Curry & Company has built its reputation on pieces that feel sculptural, collected, and timeless, from hand-finished chandeliers to statement lamps, furniture, and accessories. Their collection is top-notch. If you haven't explored their newest introductions, take a look. Visit curryandcompany.com.